Los Angeles Lakers are set to face off against the Miami Heat in the 2020 NBA Finals, which will begin on Wednesday night at 9 o'clock Eastern Time. Now, the Lakers are 5-point favorites in this game, and it's going to be a lot of fun. As always, I'm your host, Jimmy Crowther, breaking down all the latest Lakers news and Lakers rumors, and now the Los Angeles Lakers finals preview, since we know who the matchup's going to be against with the Miami Heat. Miami Heat obviously went on to defeat the Boston Celtics in 6 games. We'll recap that series for you here in just a minute, but I know what you guys came here for. You guys want to know the schedule. You guys want to know when these games are being played, and you can bet that we're going to have it all for you live on Chat Sports, starting off with Game 1 Wednesday night, September 30th at 9 o'clock Eastern Time. A little bit of a late tip-off for you over on the East Coast, but nothing we can't handle. Game 2 will be Friday, October 2nd. Game 3, October 4th. That tip-off time will be a little bit different, 6:30 p.m. Central Time, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And then Game 4, Tuesday, October 6th, back to that 9 p.m. Eastern Time tip. And then, if necessary, assuming the Lakers do not sweep the Miami Heat, as it's been a little difficult to at least say the Miami Heat won't get at least one of them, we'll go games Friday, games Sunday, and then another game on Tuesday night. And again, on Chat Sports, we're going to be live for all of it, and man, I am so excited. Now remember, this game 5, 6, and 7, they are all only if necessary. No guarantees whether or not the Lakers will sweep the Heat, or if the Heat will even force one game. If the Heat do force at least one game, then we'll be playing those game 5s, 6, and 7s. And both Sunday night tip-offs are going to be at 6:30 p.m. Central Time, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So let me know right now, with Game 1 coming up on Wednesday night, who you got. You guys can make your votes down below in the comment section. Be the first one to call it out and predict it correctly. Type H for the Miami Heat. Type L for the Los Angeles Lakers. And if you're asking me, which obviously you are because you're watching this video, I'm taking the Los Angeles Lakers. I think they will easily take Game 1, and we'll predict the rest of the series for you here in just a little bit. But I'm picking the Lakers, even with that 5-point favorite. And so I'm going to take my money over to BetUS and put some money down tonight before that line, or before the difference gets any higher. So go to chatsports.com/Lakers, and hey, we got a little secret for you. If you use that promo code LAKERS125, you get a 125% deposit bonus. So you put some money down on the Lakers today, put that promo code in, then BetUS is going to hook you up with even more money to bet with, to be able to spend it on the Los Angeles Lakers. When the Lakers win, everybody wins over at BetUS. Go to chatsports.com/Lakers. Lakers125 is that promo code. Now let's talk about the opponent that is the Miami Heat. So let's talk about exactly how they got to the NBA Finals. They swept the Indiana Pacers in round 1. They defeated the Milwaukee Bucks 4-1 in the semifinals, and then they beat up on the Boston Celtics in the conference finals 4-2, and this is now their 6th finals appearance in franchise history. Remember, back in 2011, 2006, their more recent ones, and then 2014-15 with LeBron James, Chris Bosh, and LeBron James. Of course, a great franchise that has just had a lot of success as of recent. And then this is what they did in the conference finals. This is how they beat up on the Celtics. That Game 1, overtime. And yeah, the Heat take the first 2, but Boston responded really strongly in that third game. And the interesting thing was that the Boston Celtics beat up on the Miami Heat worse and beat them by double digits in both wins that they got over the Miami Heat. They also beat them in Game 5 by 13 points. But Miami took care of business when it mattered the most. And this Miami team knows how to respond, and they know how to play to the level of their opponents. We saw them do it against the Bucks. We saw them do it against the Pacers when, yes, that series was tight, but they still beat them 4-0. And this starting 5 that the Miami Heat have on the floor, and really their whole bench as a whole, is a very impressive team. Didn't think Goran Dragic would be as good as he has been so far in the playoffs. Jimmy Butler has turned into a true star on both the defensive side of the ball and the offensive side of the ball. Duncan Robinson shooting lights out. You look at Bam Adebayo in the middle. He has come into his own. Jay Crowther, a good defensive wing. And then guys like Tyler Herro, Andre Iguodala off the bench. Solomon Hill has been getting consistent minutes over the conference finals. Derrick Jones Jr. has been a little up and down. And then Kelly Olynyk and Myers Leonard, 2 big men that didn't play a lot in the conference finals, but I think we'll see them more against the Lakers when they go up against guys like JaVale McGee and Dwight Howard. And this team is full of matchup nightmares for the Los Angeles Lakers. I'm just going to be honest. They have a lot of really good guards like Kendrick Nunn, like Jimmy Butler, like Goran Dragic. They also have a lot of good wings. The Lakers, they lack defensive presence on the wings and at the guard position. So which Heat player, or Heat players plural, worry you the most? Let me know in the comments section. If I'm being honest, Yeah, Bam Adebayo is great, but the Lakers have Anthony Davis to respond with. Yeah, Jimmy Butler is great, but the Lakers have LeBron James to respond with. Goran Dragic is the guy that worries me the most if I'm a Lakers fan, because the Lakers' best point guard so far has been Rajon Rondo. And Rajon Rondo is not an outstanding defensive guard at this point in his career, and Goran Dragic is the second leading scorer on this Miami Heat team at 21 points per game. That is going to pose a matchup nightmare. Now, Bam Adebayo has led the way for the Miami Heat, but I do think Anthony Davis will be able to shut him down a little bit. And then Tyler Herro is a good player off the bench that they'll definitely need to pay attention to. And they have another sharpshooter named Duncan Robinson that I'd watch out for as well. So a lot of good players on this Heat team, a lot of depth. But it's a very different looking team than what the Lakers saw on November 8th when the Lakers won that game 95-80. That was a game that the Miami Heat did not have Jay Crowther. They did not have Andre Iguodala. They weren't shooting the ball well from three. They shot 17% from three in that game. Derrick Jones Jr. wasn't playing in that one. You look at what the Lakers did. They were able to out-rebound the Miami Heat. They also had Rajon Rondo, who was not playing yet, and Avery Bradley was their starting point guard. And in fact, Avery Bradley was their third leading scorer in this game at 9 points. Now, obviously, not a significant amount, but when you look at the fact that there is no Avery Bradley in this series, it might make a little bit of a difference. Now, Anthony Davis also had his way in that game at 26 points and 8 rebounds. LeBron James, a solid game as well. And this is what the Heat did. It wasn't as impressive. Bam Adebayo kind of got shut down, 11 points and 9 rebounds, which is part of the reason I think Anthony Davis will play so well against him. Kendrick Nunn was playing a lot more than he is in these playoffs. Goran Dragic, of course, had a great game. And Jimmy Butler had a good game as well against this Los Angeles Lakers team, who I think will be able to take care of business. I do think they will be able to defeat the Miami Heat, and I'll give you my whole rundown of exactly what my prediction is, but I want you guys to make your predictions on this one. Who averages more in this series? Type LBJ for LeBron James, type AD for Anthony Davis. It's tough, because when you look at what the Heat have, they have Bam Adebayo as a good center that can respond well to Anthony Davis, and they have good wings like Crowther and Iguodala that can defend LeBron James well, but you guys make your predictions down below. Now, the Lakers and the Heat also played in December, and the Lakers won that one by a little bit closer of a margin, 113-110, but that was the only other time they played. Now, again, there was no Jay Crowther, and there was no Iguodala in this one for the Miami Heat. The Lakers turned the ball over 19 times, but somehow were still able to win the game, and Jimmy Butler was terrible. He was 0 of 5 from 3. The leaders in this one, again, you see Avery Bradley in that top 5, and unfortunately for the Lakers, they're not going to be able to have him available in this series, but they do have Anthony Davis, who again had a monster game, 33 points and 10 rebounds. I also loved what I saw out of JaVale McGee, 10 rebounds and 5 blocks. We could see some more JaVale McGee in this series because the Miami Heat have better big men than the Denver Nuggets did, besides Nikola Jokic, of course. Now for the Heat, Derrick Jones Jr. stepped up big. He hasn't played a lot in the playoffs. Kendrick Nunn stepped up big. He hasn't played a lot in the playoffs. Kelly Olynyk stepped up big. He hasn't played a lot in the playoffs. So a totally different looking Miami Heat team is what we're going to get and what we're going to see as the Lakers go up against them in the NBA Finals. But you still got Jimmy Butler and you still got Bam Adebayo to worry about. Now, whether you're a Lakers fan or maybe you're a Heat fan watching here on the Lakers Report, I want to make sure you have subscribed not only to our Lakers channel, but also to youtube.com/chatsportstv, because that's where we're going to be live for every single NBA Finals game. Last year during the NBA Finals, we had a show that did over 1.1 million views. That's right, million, not just 1,000, million. And we're going to break that record this year as you guys come and watch with us over on our channel, youtube.com/chatsportstv or youtube.com/LakersTV as well. Now, what I did here is I'm going to break down the different advantages that each team has over the other in the NBA Finals. And first off, let's start off with the offense. Who has the better offense? It's the Los Angeles Lakers. They did it in the regular season, and they've done it in the playoffs as well. They can score the ball at will when LeBron James is getting to the rim. They can shoot the ball from three pretty well when Danny Green, KCP, and AD are making their shots. And Anthony Davis can't be stopped by any big man in the league, not even Bam Adebayo. The defensive advantage, because obviously basketball is a two-sided game, offense and defense. And this one was a little bit closer, but I still have the Lakers as the better defensive team because their defensive rating in the playoffs has been 1.1 points better than the Miami Heat. Although, you look at guys like Iguodala, Jay Crowther, Bam Adebayo, and Jimmy Butler, a lot of really good defensive players on the Miami Heat team, so this one was by a slim margin. Now this next one, NBA coaching and head coaching, this isn't close. It's Eric Spoelstra by a landslide. The guy's been with the Miami Heat forever. He's probably a top 5 NBA coach honestly, of all time at this point in his career. He's a 2-time champion. He's led the Heat to multiple championship runs. He's been there as an assistant. He knows what he is doing. Frank Vogel, love you, buddy. You've been doing great, but you're no Eric Spoelstra. Now let's talk about the different depths on this team and the depth chart really looking as a whole. When you look at such a well-rounded team, it's the Miami Heat. I mean, they have Iguodala off the bench, and they have Tyler Herro off the bench. Those are 2 elite players. You also, your top 2 in LA are obviously LeBron and AD. Those are the top 2 players in the finals. They're better than anyone that the Miami Heat have. But when you look at the best players from like 3 ranked down to about 9 or 10, the rest of them are all members of the Miami Heat. Jimmy Butler, Goran Dragic, Kendrick Nunn, Tyler Herro, Duncan Robinson, Bam Adebayo, Kelly Olynyk, even Derrick Jones Jr. All those guys add so much depth to this Miami Heat team that the Lakers are going to have to figure out how to respond with. But last, and honestly, I think the most important, is star power and experience. Because when it comes to the NBA Finals, you want the brightest stars shining on the brightest stage. And the brightest stars in this one are LeBron and Anthony Davis. I'd rather have my top 2 players be LeBron and AD than Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo, both when it comes to star power and when it comes to experience. LeBron has been to the finals a million bajillion times. Has AD been there? No, not yet, but now he's there. You also have guys that have experience like Rajon Rondo, Dwight Howard. Danny Green has a lot of finals experience. And that team right there just makes this experience and the star power so much stronger for the Lakers, which is why I'm picking the Lakers to win it all. I can't predict how many games it's going to be. Let me say this. I was talking to my coworkers here at Chat Sports, and this is what I was saying. Producer Sam says 6 games. I'm going to say if this goes 5 or 6 games, the Lakers win it. I don't think it's going to be a sweep. We rarely see a sweep in the NBA Finals. If the Miami Heat push this to 7, I'm taking the Miami Heat. But I think the Lakers will win it in 5, maybe 6. But let me know who you got in the comment section. MIA for the Miami Heat, LAL for the Los Angeles Lakers. Who is going to be the 2020 NBA champion?